This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news, and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Georgia Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
Well, hey there. Hope 2019 is off to a good start for you. Good to have you along for the ride. I'm Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. A bit of a change from the normal format. Instead of the latest news and features, we're going to show you some of your favorite stories from 2018. We call it the best of YouTube. Coming up, when he's not attending to his patients, this full-time nurse is helping cowboys avoid disaster. John Holcomb reports on a rodeo clown who says although it's a dangerous job, it's part of his family heritage.
Also on the show, call it a symbol of strength and fortitude in rural America. The Monitor with a unique look at the meaning behind two iconic trees that survived Hurricane Michael.
And then later, he traveled the country buying old antique tractors. One expert calling the collection extremely rare. But then one day, he put it all up for auction. These stories and so much more start right now on the Farm Monitor. Saving lives is what Trent McFarland does. When he's not working as a full-time nurse, you'll find Trent traveling the country, protecting cowboys from a raging 4,000-pound bull. John Holcomb reports on Trent's desire to stare danger in the face and how he's not the first in his family to do so.
Meet Trent McFarland. Trent is a professional rodeo clown that's getting ready by putting on his signature makeup. It's second nature these days for Trent, especially since he's been putting it on since he was 13, when his father first asked him to join him in the arena.
Most kids are born into a rich family, and I got extremely lucky and was born into a rodeo clown family. So when other fathers are teaching their sons how to throw a football or hit a baseball or cool stuff, my dad was teaching me how to put on makeup.
He has since continued to put on that makeup since those childhood days, and for 11 months out of the year, you can find him and his wife and kids at rodeos all across the country, cracking jokes, making people smile, and helping make the rodeo go smoothly.
I'm hired to be the entertainer, the comedian. Throughout the show, it's my job to help during transitions from one event to the other when there's a break in the arena. And if something goes wrong, it's my job to say, hey, look at me, while they're doing something in the background.
He also serves another purpose, and for that purpose, he is assigned the unofficial title of Bull Target. Now,
during the bull riding, I transition a little bit from a entertainer to more of a safety person. I'm in the barrel. I'm the barrel man, which means if something bad goes on, I can run up in there with the heavy artillery, and I'm the last line of defense. The bullfighters get wiped out, I go in and do whatever I can to take the pressure off of them and give the bull a great big target to look at and come to.
When he's not dancing around in the arena or dodging bulls, you can find him assisting people in another way, in surgery as a nurse.
So, I work in surgery as a registered nurse first assist is my title. And it's really cool, my ADD that I have in the arena, the other side of ADD is hyperfocus. So when we get in those really intense cases, I'm zoned in. It works really good, crosses over.
Living the life of a nurse and on the road as a rodeo clown is busy, but he says he wouldn't have it any other way, especially when he has his family by his side the whole time.
I truly enjoy doing what I do, and a majority of that is being on the road with my family.
He has also roped his wife Wendy into his act and even takes the kids into the arena sometimes.
And she's a big part of all the acts that I do, and the boys, I got a 3-year-old and 2-year-old, Cody and Ryder, and they're coming along nicely. They help me from time to time. I'll get them out in the arena, and they love the spotlight, and it's fun. But I'm trying to keep it fun for them.
Keeping it fun, just in case one day they decide to continue the family business. Something that Trent says he wouldn't mind one bit.
I would be extremely honored for my kids to want to be a rodeo clown, but just to be growing up around this type of environment is important to me. Some of the happiest memories I have of my growing up, because from time I was, 13, 14, until my mid-20s, my dad and I rodeoed together about every weekend. We're extremely close.
Reporting in Perry for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Meantime, right in the heart of peanut country, you will find Premium Peanut, which owns and operates the newest and largest shelling facility in the world. And thanks to a $14 million investment, it's expanded its operation to include oil production. Damon Jones tells you how the idea came about and what it means for the industry.
With the state of Georgia accounting for nearly half of the nation's peanut production, it's important that each aspect of the industry work in harmony. And nothing exemplifies that more than the grower-owned operation Premium Peanut, which helps farmers with each step of the process.
We're essentially a cooperative, over 350 farmers, 30 counties throughout Georgia, and we work with them to grow, harvest, and then shell peanuts. And we are the only shelling plant east of 75, and as peanut production and peanut growing has moved into southeast Georgia over the past 15 years, there really was a need logistically to have something close.
This facility, which shells up to 900 tons of peanuts a day, helps save farmers time and money thanks to its convenient location right in the middle of peanut country.
It's extremely beneficial just from a logistical standpoint. Minimize those freight costs, both getting the product out of the field at harvest, into the buying points, and then from the buying points or the collection points into the shelling plant.
One of the major partners for this operation since its opening in 2015 has been SunTrust Bank, who provided both working capital and flexible financing. It's the kind of partnership they believe is essential not just for agriculture, but to the future of the country.
Well, if you look at food and agriculture in the United States, it's a significant part of our GDP, and it's a category that we are not likely to rely on a foreign source of supply. So as we think about the next several decades, food and agribusiness will be a significant part of the U.S. domestic economy.
And with that in mind, Premium Peanut recently expanded their operation, building a state-of-the-art peanut oil facility, which creates more value to the product by using the entire supply.
We're generating a lot of non-edible peanuts. They're part of the manufacturing process. I come from a metals manufacturing, and you have scrap there. Well, our scrap is peanuts that are too small, they're broken, maybe they have damage in them, and we can't sell them to the edible market, but you can absolutely crush them and produce peanut oil from them.
As for how the oil is produced, it's really a simple process.
You break them down into small pieces, you heat them up to release that oil, and then it's a mechanical press, and it really is just using mechanical pressure to squeeze the oil out.
With the addition of a new operation comes an addition of new jobs as well. And with the peanut industry being so far-reaching within the state, it's not just the local community that sees the benefits from this expansion.
And when you think about Premium Peanut, it's had a huge impact on the greater Douglas community. It's obviously having an impact on this particular business, but it's also helping to light the way to financial well-being for hundreds of farmers that are members of the cooperative. And so indirectly, it touches literally hundreds of families in South Georgia.
We have over 200 employees. And so clearly I think that's important for this county and for where we are locally. But our growers are in 30 counties throughout southern Georgia, and we have 10 buying points spread throughout the southern part of the state. And so I think when you look at our true economic impact to agriculture and to the peanut industry throughout the state of Georgia, it's very significant.
Reporting from Douglas, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Still to come on the show, standing tall through Michael's wrath, the story behind two iconic trees in Pulaski County.
Here in Hawkinsville, Georgia, a Wednesday afternoon is business as usual. People working, kids in school, and the sun shining. Yet everywhere you look, there are still reminders of Hurricane Michael. A large tree laying next to a house. The pecan orchard just down from the harness track, ravaged by Michael's near 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And the cotton field directly next to the orchard, a total loss. But as you drive up Broad Street, standing tall and proud is Old Faithful, a redwood listed among the state's champion trees and believed to be the largest of its kind east of the Mississippi. In the days leading up to Michael, there was never a doubt that this sequoia would remain steadfast, anchored to its roots.
This tree has been here since the late 1800s. So nobody was really concerned about it. It's you know, withstood a lot of storms, so nobody had any major concerns for it. It's between 85 and 90 foot tall. We hadn't measured it in the last 5 or 6 years. The circumference of it's somewhere around 13 to 14 feet. Canopy spread is somewhere around 30 feet. So it's a pretty good sized tree. It's one of the largest trees in the county. It's definitely one of the largest on the east side of the Mississippi River, being a redwood. There's another one in Culloden. They're kind of comparable in size, but this one I think edges that one out. It's definitely a symbol for Hawkinsville. We've done some stories on it before, and Miss Wright, she actually donated this tree several years ago because she wanted to see it stand the test of time. She didn't want it removed, and she donated the tree to the city of Hawkinsville, and that way it could be preserved for future generations to look at and watch it grow.
Exactly 10 miles from the Hawkinsville Redwood is a place where generations also continue and, in some cases, begin. Historic Twin Oaks Farm. Through the longleaf pines and towering above them is this iconic pecan tree. Like its distant relative, the red oak, it too refused to break while being battered by Michael's winds.
You know, we hate to say we're really lucky because we know that that means that others weren't, but we are really, really fortunate that it was spared and protected during that storm. Based on what we know, circumference size, it is a little over 175 years old. The circumference is 14 feet and 7 inches, and the canopy is a little over 122 feet. And then our estimated height on it is 113 feet. So, like I said, dates back 175 years, we believe. Interesting thing, before we planted the planted pines around here in January of 2007, it was just in the middle of a peanut field and a cotton field. And so, as you can imagine, it was the highest structure for decades. So when you think about the storms coming through, it's really phenomenal that it's still standing and has its symmetry to it, withstanding all of those years when it wasn't necessarily protected by the trees around it. It means a lot to me ultimately because of what people get to experience out here. I mean, I'd say probably 70% of my couples now choose to have their wedding out here. And with an average of, 150 to 200 guests at each of those weddings, you really think about how many people have been impacted by a special moment under this tree, and that's a pretty significant amount of people. So when I'm out here for ceremonies and brides and grooms are, saying their vows to each other, it never loses its significance on, what that special moment means to them, and, that's ultimately the fulfillment that I get from it too.
For the Farm Monitor, I'm Ray DeLessio.
One of the most viewed stories on our channel this year focused on the incredible skills of Daniel Moy, who became a knife maker following a horrendous car accident that nearly ended his life in 2009. It was a life spent mostly in the operating room as a prominent orthopedic surgeon. Unfortunately, the accident forced Daniel to give up that life in the OR. But as you're about to see, he still crafts every blade with the utmost care and precision of a surgeon.
There was a gentleman in an 18-wheeler who was lost and was trying to get his directions, and he turned into me head on, and I was in a Prius, and it just ramped right up on top of the hood of the right on top of the ceiling of the driver's side. They had talked about trying to get my legs removed at the scene, but they couldn't get a general surgeon to come do it, and then they helicoptered me to Grady, where in the next 24 hours, I coded like 9 times. I was in the hospital off and on for about 1.5 years. When I first got out of the hospital, my good friend, a physical therapist, worked with me literally every day for about a year. Because when I first got out, after a year and a half, I had not taken one step, not one. Initially, I was told I probably wouldn't walk, and then I was told I probably wouldn't walk without a walker or crutches or something, and then a cane, and then I was able to walk without any of those things. I do have some nerve damage, but I owe a lot of it to him giving me the time. For years, I talked about making knives, and I'm not sure exactly why. It just seemed like something I would want to do. My daddy did a lot of woodwork and stuff, and I'd done that growing up. But I just had always thought I'd make knives. And one day I was discussing this with a good friend of mine, and he said, "You know, I'm tired of you saying this." He said, "You know, you either need to make. You've been telling me this for years. You need to either start making knives, or you need to quit making, or hush." What I say to people, it keeps my hands busy, my mind still. I mean, I never thought I loved being an orthopedic surgeon. I really did. I'll start tearing up here. And I thought I would be the one that they go, "Dr. Moy, you're contaminant, you're sitting on the operating room table, you need to get off and go home, it's time to retire." I loved it. I loved every day. And I never thought I would find something I liked as much. I do a lot of custom work, and what I do with custom work is I talk to the client, the customer, friend, and they tell me what they want, and what I do is I'll draw out a pattern. I draw out a knife. But I tell everybody, especially people I don't know, that the knife will not look exactly like that. I will make it as close as I can because it's not a pattern for the knife. It's just something for me to have an idea on if they know what they want. And so what I do is I'll draw out something, and it's usually close. I've never had anybody say, "No, that doesn't look like it," but it may be a little bit longer, a little bit thinner, a little bit, you know, it's going to be but it should come out fairly close. But like today, and the majority of the time when I'm making a custom knife, what I do is I just kind of visualize it as I go. I do try to make them attractive. I do some hand file work on the spine. There's some patterns you can put on that to make it to kind of make it look nice. My biggest complaint is people say that they find them, they're uncomfortable using them because they're I hate this sounds horrible, but they're too pretty. And I said, no, they're made to use. They'll still be pretty. I mean, you know, but I want people to use them. I'm glad I was an orthopedic surgeon, more so than I'm a bladesmith, even though at this point I really love bladesmithing almost as much as I do being an orthopedic surgeon. I enjoy doing it, and I do sell knives. It's not, and that's not the point for me. I enjoy doing it. I made 40 or 50 knives I've got in a drawer before I sold a single knife. And because I wanted them to be what I thought was right, and but it comes as close because when I'm doing this stuff, when I'm doing something with my hands, orthopedic surgery, or this, I'm in a different mindset.
Simply amazing, isn't he? When we come back, meet an 88-year-old Waynesboro man whose massive antique tractor collection all went up for auction, and what he would like to see from the new owner. Finally today, doesn't matter the brand, John Deere, Case, AGCO. If antique tractors are your thing, then this next story is going to knock your socks off.
Yeah, Kenny, at the tender young age of 88, Waynesboro native Clifford Jones is a John Deere fanatic. He spent over half a century collecting them. But on April 28th of last year, his entire collection, over 100 antique tractors and automobiles, along with other items, all went up for auction. A difficult and selfless decision, but one that was necessary, according to Clifford, who so graciously invited yours truly to spend the day with him and his tractors. Born in Georgia, raised on a farm, and the youngest of 9 children, Clifford Jones remembers vividly the first time he laid eyes on a tractor. It was without a doubt love at first sight.
4 or 5 years of age, before I started school, and a wealthy farmer across the road from us was the first tractor. He brought the first tractors in the community. And then my older brother was the first one that I knew of, other than that gentleman that had a tractor. And he bought a Model B on steel wheels in 1939. And of course I drove the tractors and right on up until I went off to war in 1950.
He just has a fire burning inside him, you know, deep inside. And I see it quite a bit. I've seen it with the tractors, definitely.
I've never seen, like I mentioned earlier, I was born and raised 35 miles from here. Been there all my life. Known Mr. Clifford for many, many years, coming to our auctions, and never dreamed that this kind of collection was this close to me. And being in my business is what makes it even harder to believe. You know, I'm in the tractor business, the tractor selling business anyway. So to find out that there was a 100-piece collection of antique tractors 35 miles from my home was pretty remarkable.
Mr. Clifford says he bought his first tractor in 1968, and in the years since has traveled the country looking to add to his collection. His lovely wife Elizabeth tells me if Clifford wanted it, he'd buy it, and she was okay with that. Each tractor with a different story, and each tractor with a special meaning. But as he prepares to celebrate his 89th birthday, Mr. Clifford says it is time. Time to let the next generation of collectors own parts or all of his collection, and maybe someday share their story.
I'd like for somebody to have them that appreciate them and enjoy having them as much as I have, and take care of them, and maybe another 50 years pass them on to somebody else.
I mean, you're back in the 30s and you're all the way up into the 60s, and the tractors are all in excellent condition. You know, they've not. When we were washing some of these tractors, we had to pull some outside, and I had to ask Mr. Clifford. I said, Mr. Clifford, some of these tractors may have to spend the night outside. They had never spent a night outside. So, just the quality and the extensiveness of the collection, and the fact that it's pretty much everything from A to 830. You know, there's Model A's to 830 diesels, which is something you don't see in Georgia.
I was thinking some of these things I've had for more than 50 years, and they become kind of like family members after a while. And let's say, which one would you want to keep, or which one do you like, or which one would you give up? And my answer is that they're all like children. Which one of your children would you want to give up? So.
Definitely one of my favorite stories of the year.
I can see mine.
Well, folks, we have been talking about it for weeks, actually years. Next week, it becomes a reality. It is the debut of an all-new farm monitor, including a new set, so please join us. We really think you're going to like what you see.
Yeah. Until then, here's a reminder. For all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening out on the farm, be sure you check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming, plus with us here on the show.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on an all-new Farm Monitor.
Have a great week, everybody.